Hi, everyone. We are live, and tonight we are going to be chatting for our Inside Align event with Krystal. Krystal is joining us tonight. She is one of our Align ambassadors, and we asked Krystal to join us for Inside Align because we've really just seen her show up consistently and with a lot of authenticity. And something that stood out to me when I was preparing for tonight and thinking about Krystal and what kind of drew my attention to her as an ambassador is she feels very relatable. She puts out content and presents herself in a way that feels like a real person that you would know, and that she's just sharing her honest experience. So we wanted to invite her onto the Align page tonight to share her Align story and tell you a little bit about how she got started in social selling, how she heard about Align as a brand new little baby brand, and what drew her to the company and how her experience has been since. So Krystal, thank you for joining us tonight. And
Yeah.
I'm going to let you take over and take the floor. I will mute myself. I will be watching questions. So if you have any questions for Krystal or about Align, throw them in the comments. We will watch and we will answer them after. But without further ado, please welcome Krystal.
Hey guys. So I am Krystal Bloom. I'll give you just a little bit about myself. I have a 1.5-year-old son. I live with my husband, my son, and we have 2 cats. I would not be surprised if one of them doesn't show up at some point and try to jump behind my chair. I am an environmental scientist, and you will see that science researcher personality of mine come through tonight. And for anybody who follows Enneagram, I'm an Enneagram 5, wing 6. So again, you're going to see the researcher in me. So a little bit of background. So I am a millennial through and through. I grew up in the 90s, the early 2000s. And if you went through that time, then you know exactly what I'm talking about when I say cucumber melon, warm vanilla sugar, Bath and Body Works. Okay, that stuff was everywhere when I was growing up. And the really sad part about it was that I could not use it. I could not use any of that stuff, right? So like, I feel like the traditional gift, if you didn't know what to get a girl in the 90s and early 2000s, was you got them like some kind of Bath and Body set. And I never could use any of it. It got to the point where it was like slightly depressing, right? Like I would open up another package and I'd be like, thanks, and then I have to throw it away. Because I would always break out in a rash. I would get really itchy, that kind of thing. And so growing up, I never got to use fun products. And it's something that like really stuck with me, throughout my formative years. So then when I was an adult, I had a little bit of my own money, I graduated college and whatnot. I started kind of delving around, trying things, trying to figure out like what it was that was, giving me all of these skin issues. I had several jobs right out of college where I spent a lot of time outside. Again, I'm an environmental scientist, so I would be outside, outdoors for up to 12 hours a day, like just hiking through the woods, hiking through farm fields, all of those things. So not only did I like want to find something that was just fun and enjoyable to use, my skin really needed it. It was going through heck day in and day out with everything that I used to do. So a friend of mine introduced me to a skincare brand that excluded a lot of ingredients that you used to just find in all skincare. And I fell in love because it was stuff that smelled good. It was stuff that worked great. And, it helped my skin, and I could use it without any kind of reactions or rashes or anything like that. And the timing of it really just worked out well. I was engaged to my husband at the time, and he was going back to school. And so we were going to be living on just my income alone. And so I sort of fell in love with this brand, and I decided that I was going to enter the world of direct sales. And if she is watching this tonight, she will remember, my friend, that I asked her all of the questions before I joined. But I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed sharing the information and the knowledge that I had about skincare and about products. It was a really nice way for me to connect with people. Making friends as an adult is really hard. And I had moved around a bunch of different places. So I'm in Pennsylvania. For those of you who are in Pennsylvania, hello. I have sort of lived, right now I'm in central Pennsylvania, but I grew up in southern PA. I spent some time in Virginia. I went all the way up to northern Pennsylvania, almost New York, and then I came back down. So I moved around a lot the first couple of years out of college, and it was really hard to make friends. So it was nice being in direct sales because I got to connect with people, and it was an easy way to make those connections. And I really enjoyed it. I really did. But there were a few things that, I think I did it for about 2.5 years. And I sort of reached a point where I couldn't, like, the one thing that had pushed me to join direct sales in the first place, which was income, I kind of reached like a cap. So if you're familiar with traditional direct sales companies, a lot of them, like, you reach a point where if you have a team, like, the expectation is that team builds a team and that kind of thing. Like, that's how traditional direct sales kind of work. And I never wanted to be that person that says, you need to do XYZ so that I can make more money. Like, that's just not authentic to me. I want to share this business with people who just want to do it because they want to do it, and they can do it as much or as little as they want to, right? Not everyone is going to have the same goals. So it got to a point where I felt like I was sort of stuck, and, my husband was out of school. We had already gotten married. We had done all of those things. And so I made the decision to just step away from direct sales. And I was okay with that decision for a little while. And it was never like a bad thing. It was just like, you know what, this time in my life has passed, and I'm going to go do other things now. So fast forward to 2020 and the pandemic. And I told myself I was not going to get emotional about this, but I might. So, we all know what the pandemic was like, specifically 2020. On top of that, I was also struggling with, I am going to get emotional. I was also struggling with fertility issues, to the point that I actually had to have major surgery, in order to conceive my son. And I am very lucky and very blessed to have him. So I was sort of in this like lonely bubble of these struggles. And then even during my pregnancy in 2021, there was just a lot of trepidation about being around people. We didn't know, what to expect and those kind of things. So my son was born at the end of 2021. 2022 came, and anybody who has kids knows that that first year is like survival. You're just trying to get through every single day. I struggled a little bit with postpartum depression and anxiety on top of all of that. And so that kind of brings me to the beginning of 2023. And I am not necessarily somebody who creates New Year's resolutions, but January of this year, I kind of took a look in the mirror and I said that I lost myself, over the course of the pandemic and fertility and pregnancy and having a kid and all of those things over those last couple of years. I felt like I didn't know who I was anymore. And I decided that I was going to figure that out this year. I was going to try to come back to myself and get into the things that I really enjoyed. And, one of those things was connecting with people through skincare. And while I was thinking about these things and how I wanted to approach them, I started hearing mutterings of this brand new skincare company. It had not launched at all, but I heard people talking about it. And I'm one of those people that I won't ask you questions. I will look them up and figure it out myself. I like to call myself a background lurker. Okay. So I might put something out there and I can guarantee you that in the background of whatever I put out there, I have researched the heck out of it. So I started hearing mutterings about this new skincare brand that was going to be launching. And like I said, I realized that one of the things I really missed was, taking time for myself, first of all, because I had stopped doing that, but also just enjoying skincare, enjoying sharing skincare, and connecting with people, and all of that. And so I was like, okay, I told my husband, I'm going to look into this company. And I am not usually somebody who just jumps in head first, so the idea of looking into a company that hadn't even launched yet, kind of for him was like, oh, that's interesting. So I looked into it. I think I sat in on some calls and, one of the things that I immediately looked at were product ingredients, right? So this kind of comes right back. Like the number one thing for me when it comes to skincare is what is in that product. Because I need to make sure that it is not going to make me break out in an itchy rash. I'll tell you a story. This summer, I'm also allergic to a lot of clothing detergents. And this summer we did a family trip to the beach and I'm sitting on the beach and I'm like, man, why am I so itchy? And I'm like, I didn't use a new sunscreen. Like, what is going on here? My sister-in-law had taken it upon herself to wash my bathing suit for me. And she thought it would be okay because she used Tide Free and Clear, but even the Free and Clear makes me break out. So I'm sitting on the beach going, I think I need to go back to the house now. Like, I'm just like so itchy. So we ended up having to like wash all of my stuff over again. So all of that to say is that, like I said, ingredients are like the number one most important thing for me. So I delved into, what their plan was for the products, and, it hit the big ones. There's no parabens, there's no phthalates, SLS, all of that kind of stuff. One of the big green flags for me, was the European standards. If you're not familiar, there are so many more ingredients that are banned in the European Union than they are in US for various reasons. So anytime that you see that a product is following European Union standards, that usually means that they're at a higher level of quality than just traditional, I'll say, products made in the US. So that immediately was like, okay, they're onto something. And then so then I was like, okay, well, I want to look into the company itself and see what the company is about. And the very first thing that stood out to me was inclusivity. As somebody who is part of the queer community, that was a big one. because I have seen and I have felt other direct sales companies are not as inclusive as I would like them to be. And so seeing that as like a core value of the company was a big one. And I also appreciated the other things that the company was about, a balance and alignment. I really like the fact that, and I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but I really like the fact that Align does not promote a hustle culture. They're very much like, find what works for you and don't push yourself to the point of burnout. And that was sort of the vibe that I was getting, just kind of looking into the company and, watching some of the videos that they were doing and the calls and that kind of thing. So then I was like, okay, let's look at the pay plan, right? Because that's why I left direct sales to begin with, was that I got really frustrated by the traditional pay plan. So I looked, and then Align calls it the abundance plan. I looked at the abundance plan and I saw that they really were trying to do something a little bit different. It was more of a modern take on the traditional pay plan. It was not like, you're here and then you're here and you're building these tiers and all of that nonsense. If I just wanted to sell like $5,000 worth of products every month, I could do that and I could make a great income off of that. And that is not the case for most, direct sales, social selling, all of that. So that was sort of like the last like little cherry on top for me, was like, I was like, okay, no matter how much effort, work, time I put into this, I'm going to see that return because it's going to be based on what I am putting into it. So I joined on launch day, which it's still wild to me because I just, like I said, I'm not usually somebody who just dives right in. But I felt really confident in that decision. Like I said, I had researched the heck out of it and I was really, really excited. And so I've been with Align since launch day, and I've enjoyed every moment of it. It's been really nice to connect with people again. Align is such a very positive and uplifting community. It's never like, well, I need to be better than her, or you're not doing enough. You know what I mean? It's not like that at all. Everyone is just very, for lack of a better word, very positive. If you want to, hit a certain goal, then everyone is here to cheer you on, including the founders of the company. And I also will say that I really appreciate the connections that, like Jesse and everyone, they pointedly try to make those connections with us to make the company successful. And I really appreciate that. They listen to our feedback and they let us know what's going on. And there's never a moment where I'm like, I don't know what to expect next month. You know what I mean? And they're doing so many things to help us succeed. Like, I think the Alliance sales system is absolutely brilliant. I really personally, I like to like pick and choose things. But they basically say like, here are ideas of what you can do every single day for your business, take it or leave it. And that is really helpful, I think, for a lot of people who, you go into direct sales and you're like, okay, well, I told everyone I was doing this and now I don't know what to do. So having the sales system is awesome. And that's something that came about after a few months after they launched. And it has developed into this really useful thing. Like I said, I like to sort of pick and choose. I'll look at what's listed for the week, and then I sort of run off and do my own thing. But it's really helpful. And again, I just really appreciate the opportunities to connect with people again, and just sharing my love and my knowledge. Like nothing makes me happier than giving somebody a sample of something and they try it and they're like, Krystal, that was awesome. Nothing makes me happier. Like, and I can understand why influencers love what they're doing. You know, if they're promoting something that they just really genuinely love, I totally get it, because that's what I like to do. And I love to hear when people are like, yeah, this is awesome. Or, you know, this hand cream is just what I was looking for. You know, I eat that stuff up. So yeah. And, I think too, it's been nice that, I can just, I guess I'm not sure what I'm trying to say, but, I can just confidently talk about the products, and, nothing that Align have I been like, well, maybe I just won't talk about that a whole lot. You know, like, I love all of the products. I will tell you, my number one favorite is Clarify. It is the best scrubby exfoliating cleanser out there ever. My very close second is actually Calm. And it feels weird to say that my top two products are cleansers, but they really are. Calm just sort of like has blown me away. It just feels so like very dreamy and luxurious. I love using them together. So yeah, I'm really excited to see, you know, in the future what else Align comes out with, because the products so far, like I said, ingredients and products are number one for me, and the products so far have just really blown me away. So
Okay, I'm so glad that you shared your favorite product, because that was one of my questions for you. So I have a couple of people in my household who have super sensitive skin too. And so I love that the products have worked for you so far, and even Clarify, which is exfoliating. And so we kind of always give a little bit of a warning for sensitive skin people, like make sure you test it first. So I love to hear that that's working for you as well. Krystal is a girl after my own heart, because I am such an obsessive researcher. Also, like, this is exactly how I dove into social selling. Anytime I've looked at any company comp plan, like, you went down my checklist of exactly what I do when I'm researching something. When you got to the point where you're like, but then I'm looking at the pay plan, I'm like, yes, sister, you do. So, we encourage that at Align. And if you are considering it and you have questions about it, something doesn't make sense, or you have an idea, or you want to know the why behind a brand pillar or a product or an ingredient that we use or we don't use, or the comp plan, we are an open book, and we're happy to have those conversations with anyone and answer those questions, because transparency and honesty in this industry is really important to us. So a few things that I wrote down. You said in your researcher life, and this is so me too, I could relate to it, that you had all of the questions. So what's one of the big questions that you have when you're looking at a brand? Like, what's one of your top things that's important to you to ask about?
I mean, the values are really important. And I think that you can tell when a company is just being fluffy about it, for lack of a better word. And so, you know, like sometimes they just sort of, a company will just throw out some buzzwords and you're like, okay, but what does that actually mean? And so definitely looking at a company's core values and seeing, you know, are they being authentic about what is important to them is a big one.
That's awesome. And it comes from, you know, explaining it. Shanae did such a good job of that when we were talking about our core values. We kind of had them outlined first, and she was that brain that said, okay, but what does that mean? Like, let's define what inclusivity means to us. Let's define what alignment means to us so that it's very clear to people who are looking at our core values what we mean when we say that. I had a conversation this week with someone looking at the brand, and at the end of it, I could at least, like when we got off the phone, it's always interesting to think about how people perceive you and how people perceive what you're doing with a new company. But I was like, at the end of the day, what I'm most confident in is that we really mean what we say. And whether someone perceives that or not, or that's their experience with us, or if this is the right brand for them or not, we really do mean what we say. And so we can be really confident in that. And if it's a good fit for people, great. And if it's not, that's okay too. Another thing that I love that you pointed out is just seasons in life, and social selling can be like a seasonal thing in your life. And we come and go in different seasons. And sometimes a brand is a good fit for an amount of time, and then maybe it's not anymore. And sometimes direct sales in general is a good fit at a certain point in our life, and then maybe it's not anymore. What are some things that you found in this season of your life? You work, you have a young baby, you're married, like how does a line fit into that busy season of your life easily? What's helpful about the brand that makes it a good fit for you in this season of your life?
Well, first and foremost, I will say the sales system, because I can look at that and I can say, okay, well, I've got this going on Wednesday and this going on Thursday. So I'm going to do like X, Y, Z, and I can see everything laid out. So that's definitely a big one. But also, it's like the little things. So, when you guys do, lives and that kind of thing, you do them at different times. So you can capture the folks that are maybe not working during the day, but you also get to capture folks like me who is working during the day and I'm available at night. So it's like those little things that you guys are just very considerate of different ways of life and walks of life. And everything is like right at my fingertips. Like the ambassador resource drive, like I've got all of that information that if I am laying in bed with insomnia at midnight and I'm like, I want to do an ingredient spotlight this week. Let me go to the resource drive and find the information. I can do that because it's all right there. Like you guys just provide so much information and support that it doesn't matter what is going on in somebody's life. They're able to find ways to fit it in.
So shout out to our CSO, Shanae, because all of that stuff is definitely her jam and what she spends a lot of time and energy on. The sales system, for people who don't know what it is, we offer basically a step-by-step system that the whole company can follow. Each week we have a certain thing that we're focused on, and we give you specific tasks to do if they fit with your business and your goals, and the tools that you need to execute them. So some of the graphics or the information or the video that you might need to share. One thing about the sales system that you said was, I love how you were like, you get to choose what you want to do. I was like, it's choose your own adventure. Like the book when you're, in fourth grade, and it's like, turn right or turn left, and you get to choose. That's kind of how the sales system is. But I think we recognize from being in the field that so many people come in with an intention of wanting to share the brand, and they just genuinely don't know what to do next. And a lot of companies have always lived in the space of, it's our job to like provide a bunch of resources and then they just need to figure it out. And I think what we're learning as social selling progresses is that most people don't just figure it out. Like we have to tactically help them and train them and teach them how to share a brand, because it doesn't just come super easily and naturally to everyone. And that doesn't mean they're not capable of doing it, but they just need a little bit more clear-cut direction than just giving them every resource and calling it a day.
Yeah. And I think too, because things are lined out so well with the sales system, that it makes it really easy. Like if I have one week where I can do a bunch of things, and then another week where I just nothing, life and just nothing happens, I know sort of what is happening each week of the month, and it's easier. I'm a planner, so it's like easier for me in my head to sort of plan some of that stuff out, because you guys are just so transparent about what's going on and providing steps that can help us succeed.
And I think it's easier to jump back in when you do get off course, because
Yes.
that's just life. Like, I don't know if it's your job or your kid who ends up sick, or you go on vacation, or there's just a million different things that we get hit with, and it does take your attention away from this, and that's okay. Like, your attention should be other places often. And so it's just nice to have kind of a very structured system that you can hop back into and not feel like you're super behind and you have no idea what's going on, because so many things happened while you were kind of out of the loop.
Yep.
The last thing I just wanted to say is thank you for sharing kind of your personal story, especially about, fertility and motherhood and postpartum. I feel like postpartum depression was talked a lot about when I had my first son. He is about to be 16, but postpartum anxiety was not talked about at all. And I had not had anxiety before. And so I didn't even know what that feeling was. I think it was kind of before he was born in 2007. So it was kind of before everyone was talking about anxiety as much. And I just remember sitting in his nursery at night, like feeling so frantic and unable to relax. And it was so stressful. And now I can look back and be like, oh, you've definitely had postpartum anxiety.
Yeah.
I actually got into social selling when he was probably about 9 months old. And so I can really relate to that feeling of just falling into the all-encompassing, amazing, but overwhelming love that is motherhood, right? Like, it is so beautiful, but it is also very overwhelming. And it's just nice to have an outlet to get a little bit of your spark back, if that's something that lights you up. So your spark is definitely shining at Align, and I love that you're here. Your whole video of you talking, I was like, this is it. Like, when I said that I feel like you're authentic and relatable and very honest and transparent, I think it comes across perfectly in this video. So thank you for sharing with us tonight. Do you have anything else that you want to add before we hop off?
I would just say that if anything I've said tonight has sort of like sparked something, like, I would encourage you to don't brush that off. Like dig into it. Either if you're somebody that likes to ask questions, ask the question. If you're somebody like me that likes to look things up in the background, then do that. I think that, I kind of like to believe that things happen at certain times of your life for a reason. And so if this is sort of sparking something for you, then I would say to follow it.
I totally agree. Like, the biggest decisions I've made in this industry, including starting Align, including talking to Maria, including talking to Shanae, including some of the things that we've done as we've launched, has been following kind of that gut instinct, no matter what you believe that is, right? Like, there's a million different things you could think that is, but if you have kind of that gut instinct about something, I think you should just explore it at the very least. So we're here, we're an open book, and we will come back and check comments and make sure and see if anyone has any questions. But thank you so much, Krystal, for sharing your story. We really, really appreciate you, and can't wait to see you continue to shine here at Align.
It's been a pleasure. Thanks, guys.
Bye. Good night.